And we are recording.
You? Thank you.
Use the mic, please, so we get the Zoom people behind the laptop. Behind the laptop.
You're holding out at me, so I'm just gonna try to do it out. I'll start again.
Thank you.
Good evening. I see some new faces here today, so start with some new faces. I'm Dave Alden. I'm the chair of Urban Chat. We are glad to have you here. And more importantly, the restrooms are through that door. We typically start off by acknowledging dignitaries in the room. There's Kevin. Mayor Kevin is with us. Thank you for being here. And we have a planning commissioner, I know just came in, Brian Golden in the back of the room. So thanks for you for being here. Next, I've talked about upcoming events for Urban Chat. Lots of ways to hang out with us. Tomorrow noon, we have our monthly lunch at Octus Cafe. There is almost never an agenda. We just sit down and talk about what seems important. And I think probably right now, I can guarantee that this meeting will be the first topic of conversation. Where do we go from here? What other aspects of it are there? Friday, again, time this meeting, we're going to have an informal trip on the smart train through San Rafael. No RSVPs. If you want to go beyond the downtown Petaluma, what do we call it? Platform. Yeah, you can go that way. Thank you for the transportation flag going down. This is great work. Appreciate it. Wow, I got that.
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get the Zoom people happy.
Okay. Anyway, we are gonna take the number 19 train down. That leaves Petaluma at 10:59. I'm not asking for RSVP, just show up and see who's there. When we get to San Rafael, we'll make a joint decision where to go for lunch. We'll wonder, we'll go home. This is just sort of, we did this 2 months ago up in Windsor. And one of the attendees, some of you probably already read this story, told me how much it changed her life to realize how easy it was to hop on a train and go someplace and enjoy being in a town rather than the stress of driving there with her parking. So based on that testimony, I felt we need to do it again. So we'll do San Rafael this Friday and we'll do Windsor again at maybe September. So hopefully you can join us. And then the big event. Yeah, I didn't say you're gonna call it out. Okay, we will do our third annual Better Petaluma. Well, I guess 4 weeks from tonight, September 25th. We will show the films. 6 o'clock, show up to socialize in the lab. All of the other things. Since Pete's after it got Hanks. We typically talking about things. Festivals right there, including how to buy tickets, which is right there. Hope to see all of you there. It's always a great event. Have we sold out of tickets yet? We close? Oh, I know. Hang on. I'm doing the same. Look with me here. Okay. Wow. Quick story before I turn this over to our speaker tonight. I recently had beverages with one of the board members of Urban Chat, and he thought, because of all the things we talk about at Urban Chat, that our core mission might not always be clear to people who are new in the room. He thought we ought to start every meeting by reciting our mission. I'm not big on reciting anything, but I will tell you a story about how we came to have our mission. We have 4 pillars. Number 1 is housing, enough housing to meet community needs, which may be a different number than what the state and region thinks we need, because there's a real value in having people who work in town live in town, just for climate reasons. So that amount of housing we might really benefit from might be well larger than the state number, and we're not even going to make that number. So, but nonetheless, our job is to push for housing to truly meet community needs. Car alternatives. We're not anti-car. I have a niece who lives in Berlin. I know Berlin and Petaluma are not the same at all, but I love how she describes transportation. When she and her family have something to do in Berlin, it's, can we walk there? Okay, if we can't, oh, can we bike there? Still maybe not, okay, we hop on the subway or a bus. If even that doesn't work, okay, we get to take the car out of the garage. It is the fourth choice, and they are happy with that lifestyle. We probably can't get there in Petaluma completely, but as much of that as we can accommodate, we should, and that's part of our mission. Sustainable municipal finances. This is sort of a little bit of the strong town blood getting into us here. If our city is financially stable, it can afford to do things we need to make it be the city we want. Whether it's build a trestle, add new parks, pave potholes. We are stronger financially now than we've been in a while because of Measure U. We are not strong enough. In fact, we have a committee of Urban Chat looking at long-term trends in our budget. And if you want to join and have some good expertise, there's more room at the table. And then the fourth pillar, and this is, I know I keep diverging here, digressing. This is the story I really wanted to tell. The night we set these four pillars, we were sitting in Kevin's living room. Notice I say Kevin's living room, not Mayor Kevin, not Councilmember Kevin. This was when he was still Kevin, when he was still cool. And we got through those first three pillars, and then it was, we really need a fourth, because pillars should always come in groups of four, right? Tables, corners of a house. We needed a fourth one. And everybody ended up looking at me going, I said, climate. It's got to be climate. It sounds like we were a little slow getting to climate when it really should be a very important thing. But at least in my mind, we were slow getting to climate for a fundamental reason. If we build the housing we need, if people can live in the town where they work, if we do it in such a way that they can ride a bus to work, if we have sustainable city finances, which means building housing in downtown locations where it's easy to serve and helps the fiscal budget. If you can do all those things, you don't really need climate action. You've already done it. 80% of what we need for climate action can be accommodated through land use practices. So adding climate action to our mission statement was almost superfluous. So that's my story. Again, housing, non-car transportation alternatives, sustainable municipal finances, climate action, that's what Urban Chat is. Building off of that, we were lucky enough this evening to get Dennis Rosatti to join us, longtime nonprofit ED in Sonoma County, now a political consultant, taking a very important role on the Citizens Initiative for SMART. And anything else I would say would be taken out of your speech. So I'm going to shut up and hand the mic to you. Okay. Thanks for being here.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for having me this evening, and I'm here to talk to you about the SMART initiative. My name is Denny Rossetti. Dennis is my formal name, but I go by Denny. And I have had the incredible opportunity to live and work here in Sonoma County for the last 25 years on environmental, social justice, labor, all sorts of different campaigns and issues. I ran Sonoma County Conservation Action for about 14 years. And the last 8 years, I've been an independent political consultant working on campaigns and for candidates, ballot measures, all sorts of different projects, including some land use stuff. But tonight, we're here to talk about the SMART initiative. And I've had the incredible opportunity to have basically worked on SMART from the moment I stepped into Sonoma County. I started going door to door working for Sonoma County Conservation Action as an entry-level canvasser. And that first night, they put a clipboard in my hand and said, here, go out and talk to people about the train. I'm like, what train? What are you talking about? There's no train here. They're like, no, it's an idea. We're going to make it happen. I'm like, okay. Several tens of thousands of doors later, we were able to pass SMART. And it's pretty cool to be here at a point where, almost 2 decades have gone by and we got a train up and running. And I have a history slide I'm going to get to, so I don't want to steal the thunder from that slide. But there's some cool overlaps that I'm going to point out for y'all. Is everyone familiar with SMART? I should ask that. Yes. Okay. Good. I am an unabashed champion, if you will, and I wear it on my sleeve. So you're going to hear a biased presentation from me tonight because I'm working to get the train renewed. We want to reauthorize the measure. We have built a team around us, and it's a group of local citizens. Suzanne Smith, who used to run the Sonoma County Transportation Authority, She is currently retired from that job, but had gained a lot of experience in transportation in our county, and she is giving that back through chairing our campaign. Joanne Webster for the North Bay Leadership Council. She is our treasurer and lives in Marin. Mike Pickens from the Operating Engineers Local 3 is our treasurer. Myself, I'm one of the campaign consultants, and then Leo Buck is my partner on this campaign, and he is the other political consultant working on the campaign. And there's a whole lot more people involved in that, but that's kind of our daily decision-making group. The history of SMART is pretty fascinating and long. In 1957, the last Northwest Pacific trains ran on the tracks that go northwest that SMART currently shares with freight. In 1998, the Cloverdale station got built. At that time, they were redoing 101. I just got this history today because I was trying to fill in my own knowledge gaps and memory gaps. And the Cloverdale station was built right around the time they expanded 101. And it was kind of like a, if you build it, they will come sort of thing. And that station is still sitting there waiting. It's almost unfair that they have to wait to be the last ones, but we're working on it. Just hang in there, Cloverdale. In 2002, AB 2224 was passed. Joe Nation ran that. He was the assembly member for this territory, and it established SMART as an actual district. In 2004, Sonoma County passed Measure M, which was a transportation measure primarily for highway widening and local roads. However, that measure had some money in it for the administration of SMART, which was important because it kind of gave the district a foundation to start building off of and to do some of the environmental studies and things that set up us going to the ballot in 2006. Measure R just missed. It was a 2 county-wide measure to fund SMART for 20 years. It passed, or excuse me, it gained a 65.3% majority, but not the 66.67% that is needed to pass a measure put on by a board. In 2008, we passed Measure Q, hooray, with a 69.6% of the 2 counties combined. Sonoma County was over 75% in both of those elections, but the way the district works, it's a combination of the 2 counties together. August 25th, 2017, just a couple days ago, SMART launched officially its initial commuter trains, passenger trains, and that was the 8-year anniversary 2 days ago, which is, I thought, kind of a cool little overlap. It also happens to be the day that we officially filed our notice of intents with the county registrar of voters in both Sonoma and Marin counties and the SMART district to launch our signature gathering effort to place the measure back on the ballot. So that was not intentional, actually. It was just a wild overlap. 2020, we know Measure I was not successful. It did have a majority support, but did not get the 2/3 needed. And then here we are to present day with 25, 26. We are running an initiative to pass SMART. SMART's had a lot of things going for it in the last year, excuse me. We completed both the Petaluma North and Windsor stations. I don't know, was anyone here at the Windsor station opening? It was a pretty awesome event. I stood there looking around, like, had this wild career moment where I'm like, this downtown of Windsor did not exist. SMART did not exist. All this, you know, transit-oriented development and people living around the town green and able to get on the train, this was all not here. And I was an advocate for all of this stuff. So it felt really cool to have that, like, yes. And Windsor is actually performing really well in terms of ridership numbers. That's coming directly from the SMART district. SMART launched a free fare program for youth and seniors this past year, which has been very popular. Expanded weekend and weekday service, exceeded pre-pandemic ridership and hit over 1 million riders in the fiscal year that we just ended. And they're on track to do more than that in this coming fiscal year. And then completed a new path and launched improved connector projects at both the Larkspur Ferry and Sonoma County Airport. This is about ridership recovery, and I apologize for the tiny numbers up there, but basically you're starting in August of 17 through April of 25. You can see that giant dip in ridership happen during the pandemic. And then slowly, that number's been creeping, and we have exceeded the pre-pandemic ridership numbers. And things are looking good. I know there was some thought about some youth being here, and I chuckled when I saw that. I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be nice to get some teenagers out at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night, but Oh, we got one back there. All right. You're representing the tribe. Yes. But there are a lot of teens actually riding smart to get to school. Um, uh, uh, Technology High, is it? I think it is in Runner Park. Tech High, Credo, is a very popular stop destination, as well as a bunch of teens going to Sonoma Academy or getting a shuttle from downtown Santa Rosa Station. So you're seeing a lot of kids on the trains, especially in the mornings and in the afternoons. We got some great things coming up. Hillsburg Station. I'm not sure who said that's going to be completed by 2028, but I think they're crazy. It's going to be more like 2029 probably. But that's the money's in place for that. It's very exciting. Lots of work to do to get there, but the district is all cylinders headed that direction. Some projects in downtown Santa Rosa supporting connectivity and pathway are planned for this coming year or 2 or 3. We've got $11.7 million approved in pathway grants. And then project development for east-west alignment is underway. That's looking at going out into, Shellville, past that, territory to the east. And then public funding renewal in 2026 is our goal as a campaign. We've done some polling. SMART has done polling over a base, like 3 years. And we've seen really consistent support for renewal. Exceeding 65%. The general public has a 65% favorability view of SMART, which is an important point you're looking at when you're campaigning, because you want to understand where are the voters at, how likely are they to respond to us, how likely are they to turn out to the polls and be motivated to say yes on a measure if they're asked. We have had gains in Sonoma and Marin since the last public polling, so a year basically apart. We saw a 4% bump in voter support, and then when we tested against a measure that did not have a sunset versus a measure that had a 30-year sunset, we saw an 8% gain in having a 30-year sunset. So the measure that I saw floating around here that you all have a chance to look at later if you choose, does include a 30-year sunset. So if we were to renew SMART with this measure, it will start at the end of the last measure. We're a couple years early on that, so it'll start in 2029. And it'll run for 30 years from that point, when the system will be looked at again and voters will have the chance to say yes, no, who knows. And then voters who have ridden SMART actually support at 82%. That's a key number because they're not saying this thing's a turd. They're saying this thing is fabulous. Let's go. Building SMART's future. Why are we doing this as a voter-led initiative? So first off, a voter-led initiative places the measure directly on the ballot via petition signatures of registered voters rather than going to a governing body, i.e. the County Board of Supervisors, a city council, or a special district. Voter-led initiatives are direct democracy. They're petition-driven, enshrined by the California Constitution. So this is the Constitution of our state saying you have the power, citizens, to take initiative and propose legislation before your voters. And it is actually actuated by everyday voters. So that's us. We get to make the decision on whether or not we think this should move forward. The reasons we do this is there's less risk and a higher chance of success. And that is because it takes our threshold from 66.67% down to 50% plus 1, because we as citizens take on the burden of getting valid voter signatures from 10% of our voting population in order to put this on the ballot. It's not just 5 people or 7 people sitting in a boardroom saying, oh, this is a good idea. What do you think? We're actually doing a whole lot of work on the front end. It's also considered a cost-efficient campaign. And the reason it is because you're taking that voter threshold from 66 2/3. You've got a whole lot of people to convince with that last 3 to 5%, right? Which means you're spending a lot of money from a campaign perspective to communicate to those folks and make sure they have the information needed. We still have that burden, given the campaign environment and what we need to do. It's still taxed. It's still a public measure that people are going to have the chance to say yes or no to. But the burden in terms of what we have to spend goes down quite a bit. We do have some challenges. 48,000. Oh, that reminder is a little late. Excuse me. 48,500 ballot signatures are needed for qualification. What that means is we need to go out and raise about 70,000 signatures, because folks will forget and they'll sign twice. people move during elections and all of a sudden their voter registration isn't the same. Over our lifetimes, our voter signature changes, our signature changes, right? So you may have registered 20 years ago and your signature may look different. You might have a D in your front name. You might have used to sign it like this, but now you're signing it in cursive or something. And the registrar might eliminate your signature if it doesn't match the one they have on file. So little PSA, if you haven't signed up to register to vote, you can always go in there and send them a new form. It doesn't change anything, it just means they get another version of your signature on file. Front-loaded costs create the need for substantial early fundraising. That's difficult because the election is not going to be, if we're successful, until June. But we've got to fundraise now, you know, when the natural urgency for fundraising, what motivates people, comes a lot later. So that's been a bit of a challenge for us. There's a note on here that says, notice how much empty space is on this slide. And that's supposed to say, we're looking good. Timelines. We are at we're looking at a June 2026 campaign. So our public launch happened in June of this year, 2025. Signature gathering is beginning, like I said, Monday of this week, which is pretty amazing. We are on an aggressive timeline to turn in our signatures for November of 2025. We actually have 180 days, and the way the calendar works, that puts us at February 23rd is our we have to have them in by that date. That's the 180-day timeline. We want to turn them in early to improve our chances of qualifying for the June ballot. Part of the reason for that, and we're fine if we go in November, our polling suggests we're going to be in good shape. However, we know November is going to be a crowded ballot. A lot's going to be on there. Other revenue measures, things at the federal level, and there's going to be a lot of distraction. So we're looking at June of this coming year as our target. We'd like to get approved for ballot by January of 2026, and then election day will be June 2nd, 2026. We are enjoying the support of some amazing community elected officials, et cetera. State Senator Mike McGuire is on board, Assembly members Dan McConnelly and Chris Rogers. We have all 5 Marin supervisors and all 5 Sonoma County supervisors, and we have from basically the day we started doing this, which is a complete game changer from where we were at in 2006 and 2008. We really had to work, especially on Marin, to convince those folks that this was going to be a good idea. And this time around, it was a whole different conversation. And folks were almost like, why would we not go and renew this? The system is now built. We've basically got a very large investment of public money into this, and we've been able to leverage 2-to-1 the dollars that SMART has put in to reach to other sources, state and federal grants, et cetera. So people are seeing it as a successful system, and SMART has really come a long way in the last 5 years, and I think people are recognizing that. We've got the support of many city council members, but I've got 2 mayors on here. Our mayor from Fairfax and our mayor from Petaluma. So thank you, Mayor McDonald. And then some organizational support we've found early: operating engineers, Local 3, the SCOPAC, North Bay Building Trades Council, Northern California Engineering Contractors Association. There's a much longer list than that, Sonoma County Conservation Action included. And this is a little plug for our website. It's live currently, but it's pretty basic. We have a big update to our website coming in the next week, which is super exciting. And we're going to have a whole heck of a lot of endorsements and organizations on there. And we've done really well with fundraising too, which is my next slide. Our signature gathering budget for verification and gathering is $668,000. That breaks down to $60,000 on personnel, $20,000 on legal and compliance. It's pretty amazing how much legal we spend because we basically created our own petition. We don't have a district doing that for us. Or a city, so we've had to hire our own attorneys and do all that. That was fun. You're supposed to laugh. That was a lawyer joke. It was maybe a bad one. Printing and materials, $19,500. For example, printing the petitions is about $6,000 for the first round, and then we will likely need more. We've done some flyers and other things. We've got to start to get the word out. We want to give people something to take away when they are at that booth and they've met that person that they have a very quick conversation with and give their voter signature. We want to get a little something in their hands, that sort of thing. Events, I will announce that our big kickoff event for the campaign is September 30th right here in Petaluma. It'll be at Lagunitas Brewing Company. So we invite you all to come out and join us. And there'll be some information I can have distributed for that. and then digital outreach at a very small $3,000 with a total cost of $775. We have raised to date over $700,000. The bulk of that money coming from contractors, from individuals, from labor unions. The operating engineers were our first large donor, and those folks are the ones that help build the rail, but they're labor, right? Just really grateful and super awesome to see the support come in. Friends of Smart is sponsoring our opening event, which is pretty awesome. It's an $1,000 check yesterday. And just, we've gotten a lot of 250s, hundreds, $50 contributions. I mean, it's come from all over the place. We had a really successful event last Thursday in Healdsburg. I put a lot of time into that one and was really nervous about it. I'm like, I don't know if people are going to come out. We don't have a train up there yet. You know, we called it the Next Stop Healdsburg event. We had about 45 people come out. It was a small little thing in a winery. We raised $18,500 in that event, which was amazing. They had an event last night in San Rafael. I was not able to make it. I was playing third base on my softball team up here in Sebastopol, but they had a very successful event down there, raised another $15,000. So we're like really, really just gangbusters and on top of this thing. I hate to talk about money, but it's part of it. You know, it's how do we make this thing go? You know, and that investment from the community, that investment from the interests that are interested in Smart in some way goes a long way, you know, towards helping us get the resources we need to be able to put the word out on the street and get the petitions on the street. And we are going to be paying signature gatherers. We are going to be having volunteer efforts as well. So we have those two things like going tandem next to each other. How am I doing on time? Am I doing okay? Okay, great. I'm wrapping up, actually. So here's how you can get involved. You can support and make a financial contribution. Wow, I didn't realize I had that so well sewn together from my last little comments there. I've got little sheets here with QR codes. You're welcome to take one with you, read a little bit about us. It's got our website on there. You can endorse the SMART initiative. You can do that through our website. You can sign our petition. I think we may have some petitions in the room somewhere. I don't know where they wandered to, but there we go. Those are fresh off the press, literally. It's my first day collecting signatures. You are welcome to sign if you choose. You don't have to. I encourage you to use a pen, and you need to use your voter name. Your name is registered to vote, and your physical address. A PO box will not count. They will cross it off, and your signature won't count. So thank you for that. If you choose to sign, and then volunteering. We're going to be having events and opportunities for folks to help table and, you know, go to fairs and go to farmers markets and all that sort of thing to help us get the word out. One of the most effective ways to gather signatures is actually through your own network. We can set you up with a clipboard. You keep it in your car. You're going to a friend's house. You know, if it doesn't feel, if you know that they're not a SMART supporter, obviously leave it in the car. We don't want to end any relationships over this. But if you know that they are sympathetic, you know, you got some neighbors, whatever, it's a great way to kind of reach into your own network and help us gather the signatures that are needed to get us over the finish line. Or to, I should say, get us to the starting point, because this is a two-phase campaign. We got to gather the signatures, qualify the measure, and then we'll have a campaign to pass it in the spring. That's the goal. That is my presentation, and I am here for questions. I can't guarantee you I'll have the answer, but I'll make something up if I don't. No, I'm just joking. I'll get back to you. I got two hands that went up right back here. I think this gentleman was, or either way.
For purposes of Zoom, we want to get a mic back to him, so give me a moment.
Okay.
Which one? Who did you pick?
There's two people back here, and I'll let them hash it out as to who goes first.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just curious about the initiative itself. It's renewal.
Yes.
So if I'm out gathering signatures, can I tell people it's not really going to cost you any money, any more money than
Right.
you're all, it's like, talk some about the initiative and what might be the talking points for those of us who want to get out there and collect signatures.
Thank you. Boy, I couldn't have scripted it any better. This is a renewal. It does not increase taxes. It extends the existing funding mechanism that has supported SMART for the last 18 years. First, that's the first answer to your question. Talking points wise, SMART helps us get folks out of congestion. It gives them an alternative. We have a pathway as well going alongside it. So there's an active recreation and transportation alternative in addition to the train alternative. So we've got two multimodal options going with SMART. SMART has been very good, especially in recent years after they've gotten system established and have kind of gotten the station sites built out. Obviously, we've got some territory to go to the north still with Healdsburg and Cloverdale. Maybe Geyserville someday, who knows? Maybe a stop along the 37 someday because there's a connection coming into the east, who knows? But they've done a really good job in recent years and have a lot of plans and intention of continuing to what I would call boost up the connectivity piece to make sure that the local buses and, you know, jitneys and whatever, Smart Connect is what they've done at the airport and at Larkspur. They've actually got little shuttles driving people from point A to point B. Those are kind of the big ones I would point out to folks. It's an environmental measure. You know, this reduces greenhouse gases. I couldn't recite to you the specific numbers off the top of my head right now, but it's also a big public investment. We put a lot of public money into this, and we've been able to leverage our local dollars to grow this thing.
And I'd like to add, I'd like to add that Petaluma has the #1 highest utilized smart station around. So as a talking point, say Petalumans love their smart train. And what we were worried about with opening North Station is we couldn't say that anymore, that it would split all of the use. Petaluma is still #1, and the North Station became #7 right away of 13 total stations. Petalumans are really using smart a lot. And that's before Windsor. I'm afraid Windsor's going to send so many people into downtown Santa Rosa that they're going to steal our thunder. And I don't want that. But that's a talking point too.
Thank you. Good addition. Eric?
Thanks for the presentation. What would be your the talking points for folks who drive and don't really consider themselves someone who would ride the train? What's the advantages of SMART to them?
Great question. One is that just because you can't utilize it doesn't mean others aren't. And, you know, a lot of people look at the trains midday and they say, oh, I only see a few people on there. But it's not the ridership of any individual car. It's the ridership of, you have to look at the system and how many people are we getting off the highway each day, right? So to that person, I would say, this is going to make your life better by doing a couple things. One, reducing pollution the cars and trucks are causing because other people are using it, right? Two, it's taking cars off the freeway that are no longer competing in the same traffic as you are. Those are probably the two biggest ones I would say that I would say to someone in that world. Because I mean, I understand I live in Sebastopol, right? So it's not really like, it doesn't really work for me the same way as it works for other people. If I'm going into Santa Rosa, that doesn't make any sense. Like I don't need to take a train. I'd love to have a train from Sebastopol to Santa Rosa, but we paved those tracks over and built a really nice bike path. You know? Sure.
Yeah, let's make sure.
Hi, I'm Fred Tarr and I live here in Petaluma. My question is, currently seniors ride for free on BART. How much longer will that apply?
I wish I had a crystal ball. I don't think there's any intention of stopping that portion of the program that I know in any of the plans.
Yeah, and I'm just considering our neighborhood is seniors. And then if we're out collecting, we need to have that out there just for discussion. But if we don't know yet, I'll say, well, we don't know how much longer. And that's students too, the same thing applies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be at least a year.
They understand that.
It'll be at least a year.
Okay, thank you.
Then they won't be riding for free for long.
No, but you know, it's fine. We're still doing very well. I have no
Yeah.
problem with going back to half fare.
Yeah.
Or less. Thank you.
I can look into that because that's a really good question and I appreciate you bringing that up. I have to admit, this is only like my second or third public presentation on this campaign. So I'm still hearing from folks. You know, a lot of the ways we do these campaigns and learn is by literally engaging people and hearing what they feed back. You know, our polling can only tell us so much. And we're not the ones that are doing the polling questions either. It's us, you know, a professional pollster survey firm, right? So they feed us back what they want us to hear because they give us the relevant, you know, salient points or whatever. So it's really great to hear that question. And
What is the end game? What's the total vision for the build out?
great question. So the current plan has the final terminus being in Cloverdale. There'll be a Healdsburg station and then a Cloverdale station. That's about 27-ish miles further north than where it currently ends in Windsor. From Cloverdale to Healdsburg is about 20 miles. So that's and then Larkspur being the southern terminus. That's the current plan. They are looking at feasibility and options for going east, out again along the Shelville old rail line corridor out that way. There's been some talk about 37 long term, maybe having some type of train alternative. I don't know if they would call that smart. That's really far off in the distance, most likely, you know, but there's thinking going on about that, about how do we connect into the Capitol Corridor? How do we connect into BART potentially, you know? SMART actually on its website has some of those studies that might be interesting for you if that's something you're you know, yeah.
That's also happening, right? That's in the report.
So from SMART's perspective, at this time, I don't know of any plans for that. The last I heard, the bullet train is not connecting directly into the bay for quite a while. So that'd be awesome if we could do that. Absolutely. But this measure won't be, you know, yeah.
If I could add one thing there, and I think you already sort of hit this, I just want to make sure people have picked it up. If a train does go east from Novato, when it gets to American Canyon, it connects into the national rail system. So in theory, maybe not in my lifetime, but perhaps in his, you can get on a train at a Petaluma platform and end up in New York City. Might take you a couple of days, but that's a pretty cool thing. So.
SMART is also part of the Great Redwood Trail alignment, which extends all the way up to Humboldt Bay. So
Yes.
But I wanted to check or ask this in the form, make a statement, maybe a question. None of the measure money goes towards the eastward expansion. This measure money is for the passenger train systems that we have planned. It's not for the expansion stuff. And I don't believe any of this measure money goes to the Redwood Trail either. We're trying to build out the train that was promised.
Thank you for that clarification. Yes, that is correct. And there's the build out to Cloverdale, and then there's also maintenance of the system. So that 30 years, you know, hypothetically, I think we'll be at Cloverdale within 10 of that. Economic analysis person may have something to say about that. But you know, let's say Cloverdale, just to make it easy, we'll say it's up there in 10 years, right? We still got another 20 years of that measure. But there's a whole system now that we have built that all of a sudden is aging and it's 20, 30 years old. So we need to make sure that we're putting the money into the infrastructure, not letting it go by the wayside. And again, looking at expanding those connectivity options to get folks more capable and able to get into the station sites around the county, the two counties.
So I realize that for various reasons, the campaign is not directly affiliated with SMART, and there's a lot of things about SMART that you can't answer. But from the chat we have from Sue and Keith Schilt, I realize that this is not part of the initiative, but I'm curious if there is any discounted or free options for low-income people that we can discuss when getting signatures.
I believe the answer to that is yes. And folks would, I think the way they do that is to go into the actual SMART either offices or through the Clipper card, maybe. Do you know the answer to that one?
I think you
How
can
to
go,
actually do it? The answer is yes, it exists.
I think you can go into Petaluma Transit and get
Okay.
qualified for disabled fares or handicap fares, whatever they call it. I was just on the website yesterday looking at fares. I think it's half price. You know, obviously if you're a youth or a senior, it's already free, but as a regular adult, half fare with the handicap issue. Okay.
Thank you. Dave here is on the Friends of Smart organization.
I am on-
And there's a lot of information flowing through that group, which is an amazing support group
Yep.
for us.
Well, I had one question for you, and this is a technical question. I know you need to be a registered voter to sign the petition, but, and this is the awkward question because the only youth in the audience just left, can a 16-year-old carry a petition through his neighborhood?
You need to be 18 to gather signatures.
Okay.
That's a California law.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. However, I'm about to say this and I'm 99% sure it's true, but I wish I could check myself in the moment, but I'm almost 100% sure that a 16-year-old in the presence of an 18-year-old, an adult, actually can collect signatures as long as they are with a adult. And then when there's on the back of the booklet, there's a signature gatherer affidavit that the person has to sign to verify that these are real signatures. They collected them, time and date of signing. The adult would be the one that would fill out the affidavit, but the student or the child could be the person talking to people as long as they're with an adult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we take petitions with us today? And what would we do with them when they're full up?
I unfortunately do not have a supply that I can hand out today. However, I do have a sign-up sheet in the back of the room here, and I would love to get your information and get you petitions next week. They were delivered yesterday in the evening, and we spent the day sorting. We had a little bit of a hiccup with our stapling of the petitions. Yeah, I wasn't going to talk about that tonight, and I'm not going to anymore. But let's just say it's being handled, and I'll be able to get those to you very soon. Yes.
If I could add a little bit to that, and my understanding is you've told Danny Sheehan that you're going to get her some petitions Friday.
Yeah.
And she committed in a meeting earlier today to driving all over the county, delivering them to key people elsewhere.
Okay.
You will give me some petitions on Friday, at
Okay.
which point reach out to me.
Okay.
Okay.
I need to connect with Danny tomorrow. I've
Okay.
spent 24 hours scrambling and trying to figure things out, and great results, but there's more work to be done.
It's good.
Yeah.
Let's go with Teddy first and then Chris coming in behind.
Hi, Teddy Herzog. I think the Great Redwood Trail is an important part of the marketing of this. I mean, at least for me, I'm pretty excited about it. And while the money that's the initiative would provide doesn't necessarily pay for the Great Redwood Trail, we do have our piece of it. The Smart line is a piece of that. And I'm pretty excited to now be on our bike trail and to see there's a sign for the Great Redwood Trail. And so I would hope that would be included in there.
Thank you.
Just a technical question. So I work 1 or 2 days a week in Novato. So can petitions have a mix of signatures from Marin and Sonoma on the same piece of paper, or do I have to have separate
You
things?
need separate petitions for Marin and Sonoma.
Okay,
The ones I'm circulating here say Sonoma, County of Sonoma on them, and there's ones that say County of Marin on them.
okay,
Yeah,
Good.
and the actual new order I made today has this petition collected in blank county. So all the petitions will look the same in the future, but you'll have to write in on every single one, Sonoma or Marin. The reason you can't mix them together is because the signatures are actually verified by the individual county registrar of voters. That's the one piece that we don't have any ability to see into. I can't see what your signature looks like, right? As an organizer, I can see where you live. I can see where you're registered to vote, all that sort of, I can see what your full name is as registered to vote, but I'm not able to view your signature. So in order for us to enable the verification system to happen in an orderly way, we're required to turn in petitions to Marin and only Marin, and petitions to Sonoma and only Sonoma.
that makes sense. Thank you. No mix and match.
No mix and match. Yes.
I know everyone in the room is really optimistic and very positive about this. And I know you had that slide that said the challenges were minimal, but I'm curious, do you have any concerns? Are there any opposition groups that you're on the lookout for? Anything that we should be on the lookout for?
There has been a historic opposition. We'll put it that way. And it is strong, or, at times has been strong in Marin County in particular. We know one of those individuals is still very active and very eager to put his own financial analysis information out there. We will have opposition, for sure. Most folks know in 2020 we had a very large boogeyman, I'm going to call him, who came in and opposed the system and, put $2 million into fighting the campaign, and it still got 56%. And I would argue Smart is in a much better position now than they were then. And the voters of our community, despite all the craziness that's happening at the federal level, I think are in a much better mental position coming out of pandemic. Things were really weird back then, like really weird. And then you got $2 million being spent against you and all these things. And, it was pretty ugly. But the message now is much better. Smart has done a great job of putting out what is actually happening. The system is now further built. More stations have come on. They've had better ridership numbers. We're in a much better political climate to pass a measure like this. And then add in that we're going for a citizens initiative and taking the power of, passing legislation at the ballot box to the voters directly in our two counties is, I think, a game changer for how we can get this measure passed. So if any of you are supporters and wondering, how likely are we to get this thing done, the best thing you can do to help literally pass this measure, besides obviously voting yes in the ballot box, is to get your neighbors, friends, colleagues, countrymen and women to sign the petitions and help us gather those and get them turned in.
Okay, another organizing question around that. If, let's say, somebody's going to walk their neighborhood, how do they know somebody else isn't walking the same neighborhood? Is there any process in place to avoid duplication?
We can help with that. I mean, you can't guarantee, because folks are signing at grocery stores.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. And we account for it as well. It's really interesting. There's a lot of science that goes into this, despite the fact that it's very amorphous. The paid signature gatherers tend to turn in at a 72 to 75%, sometimes as much as 76, 78% accuracy. Volunteers tend to turn in at an 80 to 84% accuracy. And the reason for that is you're directly connecting with people in a real way. You've got relationship versus the person who's trying to grab someone's attention at the grocery store when they're busy and their kids are running, or, they've got hands full of groceries and they don't have much time. So, and by default, that person at the grocery store, right, is saying, did you sign this before? And they're like, I think I might have, I'm not sure. Just go ahead and add your signature again, right? The default is to make sure that we get it. Whereas when you're gathering as a friend or a neighbor, you have a little more time with that person, right? To be like, did you sign this before? I'm not really sure. But maybe you signed it at the grocery store. You can get another question in there and it might trigger, you know what? I think that was for something else. Or, oh yeah, I did. I went to that event at the Kavanaugh Center and I saw this guy who was a little weird, but he gave this talk and we all got inspired and, we charged the cannons together. Is that a good answer?
That was a good answer. Thank you. Anything else? Any closing comments, Dennis?
I would just say thank you again for having our campaign come in to talk to you. I hope I delivered okay, and open to feedback from y'all. If you want to talk to me afterwards, don't do it in public because I'll get embarrassed. But I'm open to feedback, and any other questions, you're welcome to send them directly to me. I have some business cards I can leave here. I've got flyers. I've got a sign-up sheet. I'd love to capture all your information, get you on our email list, let you know when events are happening. Again, our kickoff is here in Petaluma on September 30th at Lagunitas. We're going to have options for folks to come everywhere from $50 up to $50,000. If you want to give $50,000, see me immediately. I will help you with that. Thank you again. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. If you haven't signed up for our emails, do so on your way out the door. And I don't know what our next evening event's going to be, but it'll be something fun. So thanks for being here.
Big part of the delegation.